Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're absolutely delighted to see you all here today, and thank you so much for coming. And we've got a real treat having Mike Hookem here with us on his way up to Hull from the far southwest. And
hedge grind.
That's it. And our Vice Chairman Martin will got something to tell us. And I don't know whether you want to say have a few words,
Okay, yeah.
Richard, when Mike starts.
Sure.
So, okay, well, I'll try and project my voice a bit better. Is that better? Jolly good. Okay, right. Well, without any further ado, if I may, I'd like to welcome Mike, and perhaps if you'd like to give us your pearls of wisdom.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much. For those that don't know me, I'm Mike Hookem. I'm a member of the European Parliament for Yorkshire and North Lincolnshire. I'm now the Deputy Leader, and I sit on the PESH Committee in the Parliament. And I like to move about, so if you throw things, it's harder to hit me. But it's very good to see everybody turn out today. And you'll have to tell me what day it is, because I've been on the road for 4 days, and I'm totally lost now. I've been travelling around the fishing communities in Southwest, speaking on the demise of the fishing industry and the betrayal of the Tories and the Labour Party to the fishing communities around our coast. We're getting a very, very good reception. A lot of them are seeing that we as a party are the only people that are representing these fishing communities and fishing interests. So we're getting a good reception on there. And as of the party, I can tell you that the rumours of our demise are very, very much exaggerated. We now are in the black financially. That is greatly down to Gerard Batten, the leader, who's done a fantastic job in the 5 or 6 weeks that he's been the leader. And it's also down to you people, the membership, that is so generously donated to the party and got us back into that black, because I can tell you that we was in a very, very bad position at one point. Gerard's pulled it round, he's got us back in the black, and I can also tell you that the membership now is on the rise. It's very much so. So we're back on the field again, we're back playing again, we are now back as a political party. And where I am today, in Swindon, I've been told that we are fielding a full set of candidates in the local elections, which is fantastic. And these local elections are going to be very, very interesting and so important for the party, because, as I say, we was in a bad position. We need to field 744 candidates across the country, and I believe that we're well on the way to doing that. 744 gets us a party political broadcast. We're well on the way to getting that. But it's so important to us to show that the other parties that we are a political party, we are back on the field, and we are standing across the country in as many seats as possible. You know, they wanted us dead, they wanted us gone, but we're not going anywhere. We're staying on the field and campaigning and being that voice for the working man and woman of this country, because they don't have a voice with the other parties. The Tories have betrayed them. The Labour are in total disarray with their policies on Europe. Lib Dems, you know, they want to stay within Europe. So we are the only party that's basically speaking on behalf of the working man and woman of this country. And what we say is usually common sense. We're not left, we're not right, we're common sense. We're a common sense party. And that is so important to the public. You know, when you've got a government that doesn't represent you, when you've got an opposition in the Labour Party that doesn't represent you, when you've got a Lib Dem party that doesn't represent you, if you're not represented in Westminster, how the hell can you ask them to represent you in local government? You know, it just doesn't happen. And I think that what we're going to see is that people will see UKIP as the party in local government and start voting us into those seats. and I'm very optimistic for the elections in May. So I congratulate all those people that's put themselves forward and put themselves, you know, on the line, put the head above the parapet. I've even taught, the wife sat at the back, I've even taught her into standing. She's absolutely panicking because she thinks she thinks she's going to get elected. Well, she probably will, though. She'll probably be good. Yeah, she will. She'll be very, very good. So, you know, we are fighting again, and all I can say is thank you very much to the membership for sticking with us. You know, we've gone through a rocky patch. We're now back on the up. Thank you for supporting us financially. We're now back in the black. And thank you to all those that are coming back to us and the new members that are coming to us that are seen as a credible party. It's absolutely fantastic. You know, and all I can say is good luck in the local elections to everybody. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Mike. Would you like to take a few questions?
Yes, I'll have questions and answers.
So we've got one there and then another one there. So, Steve?
Well, I mean, we're always being accused of a party that's not got any policies whatsoever. We have got a policy right across the board. What we will be doing. 2015 we had a fantastic policy document that still stands today as it did then. It was the only party that actually had our policy document, you know, independently looked at and attested, and they come back financially and said, yeah, your figures work. So we're going to use that document again, but it just needs updating. It needs a few figures. But yeah, we can you know, address the housing problem. Ray Finch came up with a very, very good housing policy on that, and I think we can do that. We can help the young get onto the housing market. I think we've got to do that. We've got to help them, and we've also got to help the young get jobs. That's another big issue with the young people of today, is actually jobs for the young, and that's something else as a party that we need to look at and need to address. Right at the back. Well, yeah, I mean, I've touched on that. The fishing issue is, I mean, the fishing is basically the litmus test of Brexit, because the fishing industry, and I remember this as a lad in Hull, the fishing industry was the first industry to be betrayed by Ted Heath, following on with Harold Wilson, that betrayed the fishing industry. And as I've been saying right around the country, they will be the first industry that gets shafted on the way out of the EU. You know, they are going to be betrayed, and they've already said now that they're going to be a transition period till 2020, 2021. Well, I can see if we don't stop that can go on and on and on. You know, the fishing industry is desperate now to come out of the CFP, to come out of the common fisheries policy that's hated around the country and around the coastal areas. We as a party are fighting for 200 miles, under international law. That's our waters, our rights, and we're fighting for that. We are fighting against the Labour, who keep saying that the friends of the fishermen. Well, actually, I put 2 amendments in at Strasbourg that said we'd come out of the common fisheries policy the day we leave, March 2019, that we should be out of the common fisheries policy. That should be standalone industry outside of the Great Repeal Bill. Labour Party, en bloc, voted against it. They voted against that. The Tories abstained, the Lib Dems abstained. So the Labour Party are no friends whatsoever of the fishermen. And the fishermen are starting to say that. They're starting to say that Theresa May, Theresa the appeaser, a Remainer herself, she wanted to remain. David Davis is a Remainer. You know, many of the negotiating team are Remainers. The fishing industry, I believe, is being betrayed for one point on. They're trying to save the City of London, the financial sector, and the fishing industry is going to be handed over en bloc to the Europeans and say, right, we need to save the City of London, but you can have the fishing industry. Because time and time again, when I'm in the committee, I'll sit there and these people, the Dutch and the Germans, French, will turn around to me and look me in the eye and say, Miss Hookem, your waters, your fish is worth millions to us. You are not having it back. They will say that openly to me. So these people, we have to fight that. We have to get in there. What I'm trying to do on my tour around the country is to get the fishermen. I have to say that the fishermen, I love them, really. They're a great group of people. but it's like herding cats. It is trying to get those people to say, we're going to fight for our industry and get them all to come together. It's very difficult, but that's part of what this tour that I'm doing is trying to do, is fight, unite to fight is what we're calling it. Unite everybody, come together and fight for your fishing industry. So we're working very hard on that. And I say we are the only party really that's fighting for the fishing industry. None of the other parties are. They've betrayed them. They are interested in them. And at the moment, the fishing industry at the moment is worth 0.8% of GDP, which is roughly 800 million or something like that. We get the fishing industry back. That, at recent figures, is something like 6.3 billion, what it would be worth. But when you look at the fishing industry, you look at trawlers out at sea. Well, the fishing industry, as I've found this week as I went up to Gloucester, there's other little industries in there. I went to see a company called UK Glass Eels in Gloucester. You know, that's fishing on the Severn. You know, they've got a great business there that is being stifled by the European Union because he exports into the EU, but under EU legislation, he can't export outside of the EU. So he's got interest in China that wants to deal with him. He's got interest in Belarus and Russia that want to deal with him, but he can't do it because of EU legislation. So it's actually stifling his business. Once we're out of the European Union, that guy can then start exporting around the world. But £6.3 billion on the fishing industry, and when you look at what you're talking about there, you're talking about lads out at sea, but for every man at sea, there's 10 men on shore. So you've got your engineering, you've got your shipbuilding, you've got the retail area around the ports. It will all boast, it will all come up. That's money into the local community. This is what the government are not looking at. And I believe that 6.3 billion will be a hell of a lot more. I think it will rise above that because, you know, when our lads look now and they're pulling a couple of boxes a day because they've reached the quota, once we get rid of all the other people, Johnny Foreigner, you know, the French, the Spanish, the Germans, and stop them coming into our waters and stealing our fish, our lads can then go out and fish that. And I get told many, many times, we don't have the boats to fish our waters. Well, actually, yes, we do, because if our lads are sat in the port 3 days of the week, actually, when we get our waters back, they can go fish 5 days a week, 6 days a week, or whatever. So there's something like, I can't remember, a massive amount of fish that we could be having, and we need to get that back and fight for that and fight for our 200 mile. Yeah, I mean, there is a protest around the country, Fishing for Leave, that this Sunday. There's different areas that they're protesting on. I was speaking to a guy last night in Brixham, one of the councillors there, that's looking for a day of action in London. One of my thoughts, I said, right, we'll go blockade Dover. And this is to James, my assistant. I said, we'll go blockade Dover, James. Let's get in there and blockade. Let's stop all them ferries going out. Let's get in there and do that. He says, well, that's a good idea. He says, but it's actually illegal. It's treason, he said. And you've organised it, so you're the one going to prison. I said, well, we won't do that then. We'll change our mind on that one. But yeah, we need to get into London. Another idea that we need to get into London and have a sit down there and block the roads. And, you know, basically the same as the farmers have done in the past, and really get everybody together, fighting together with one voice and saying we want our fishing industry back, direct action, as the French would do. I mean, if this was happening to the French, they'd blockade every port around France. So we need to do that and make a voice, you know, a loud voice to Theresa May and tell her this is not acceptable. You know, you've now sold down the river our fishing industry and we want it back. Well, you know, I think he's been actually missing in action on this question, because he hasn't been seen anywhere from what I've heard. But the policing side of it, it's directly down to him, because he has a budget for the policing, to increase policing in his area. But yeah, it doesn't stack up. I see today in the press that what they're starting to do again, which I fully support, is stop and search. You know, stop and search these people. You know, these are young kids. You know, no matter what, these are young kids that are being killed on British streets, and it's unacceptable in today. You know, and you know, if to stop that we have to get in stop and search, well, let's do that. But there is issues there, and I think one of the big issues is having Khan as the Mayor of London. Yeah, well, it's down to the usual thing of PC not wanting to upset one community against another community. You know, you've got to take that out of the equation and say we've got to stop these young people being murdered on British Street. One thing you'll find out with Gerard, and I've known Gerard for many years, he's an odd type of politician, and he's an awkward bugger. Because Gerard speaks the truth, he tells the truth. To him, there's only one way, that's it, and there is a truth, and that's what he believes in, and that's what he does. And trying to get him to change his mind is nigh on impossible. So he's a very genuine man, he's a very truthful man, and he's a true kipper. He's one of the original members of UKIP, and I think in Gerard we've got at last a very, very credible leader. Now Gerard has been castigated, as you say, on speaking about the problems within the Muslim community. There is a debate to be had there. There is a conversation to be had, and as long as that conversation and that debate is done sensibly, level-headed, then you can have that debate, and that debate is what we shall have. You know, on immigration, we always said, and we still say now, we're not a racist party. We know anybody that's racist, and EDL, National Front, BNP, they're not allowed into the party. And we've always said it's about space, not race. And as long as our conversation and our debate is sensible, then we'll do that, and we will get those problems and those issues out. And Gerard is very, very good at that. He's very good at that. He's very knowledgeable on his subjects on that. And I've no doubt, and I've every confidence in him getting that conversation out there. Yes, I do. I've every confidence that there's people out there that are looking for another party because they've had the two-party state for so long, and they haven't changed their lives, and they're looking for another party to do that. I mean, I said just recently, if you look, and I come from a Labour town, Hull is staunchly Labour. If you look at a Labour town, you will find high dependency on social security and unemployment. And that's how these Labour towns carry on. And people are looking for an aspiration. They want their kids to leave school and to get a job. You know, I will not sign up to this thing where you say, oh, they're all lazy, they won't do the jobs, they won't work. I don't believe that. We have a minority, yes, but I think the ordinary working man and woman want to work. They want to go out and earn a living, and they want their kids to go out and earn a living, a good living. So if we can get that across, that we are the party, a common sense party, that are supporting these people, supporting housing, supporting libraries and these type of things, what is in local elections a lot different from Westminster elections. If we're the party that's supporting them, we will get those votes. I made a speech in Hull a couple of weeks ago. Julie was there with me, so there is a video out there which I spoke about this. I think there's more questions than answers on this. I can't understand why a man that is an enemy of Russia and so feared by Russia, where he only got 13 years in prison, I can't understand why they've tried to kill him on the streets of England, why they didn't just send him to a gulag and kill him there. I can't understand why this man is living in an area that, when I was with the military, know very well, around Salisbury, you know, around that area where you've got Porton Down, you've got GCHQ, you've got many military bases. Why is he living there quite openly? I think there's more questions than answers. I think there is no proof as yet that it is Russia. It could possibly be Putin. You know, the guy's bad, you know, the guy is a gangster. His government's run by gangsters and by Russian mafia. But until we actually get some hard evidence that it is the Russians and it is Putin, as the Home Secretary, I don't think we should go off shouting our mouth off saying it's Putin, it's the bad man. You know, we need to get the hard evidence first and then say, yeah, we can point the finger now. At the moment, we haven't got that evidence, and it's come out just recently that Porton Down are saying that they're now doubtful whether it did come from Russia. So there isn't that evidence there, and I think we need to wait until we've got the evidence before we start accusing people. Well, I mean, you get this over in France and and Brussels, where we are, that, you know, you are guilty until proven innocent. That's how they run. That's how they run it. We're innocent until proven guilty. But as I say, until you've got the evidence that it is Russia, that it is Putin, you shouldn't be, you know, pointing your finger. And then you've got to realise that many of our services, water, you know, energy, electricity, gas, we have now basically shut it down in this country, and we buy it in from elsewhere. We buy it in from France, and we buy it in from Russia. Now all Putin's got to do is just turn the tap off. And we've just gone through one of the coldest winters I've known for a long, long while. And if he decided to turn the taps off, we can't boil the kettle and we can't warm ourselves up. So we've got to be very, very careful when we're dealing with a guy. The way I turn it around is I say, well, I'm so right wing, I voted Labour for 40 years. You know, in fact, and I hang my head in shame. I voted for 40 years, but for that useless lump John Prescott, you know. So I'm so right wing, I voted for him. You know, a guy that sits on the train now and totally ignores me. He knows who I am, but he just blanks me. You know, he doesn't like UKIP apparently. But we're not right wing. We're not left wing. We're a common sense party. That's all we want, common sense. It's not left, it's not right, it's common sense. And if you give your views and your policies over to them and speak to them sensibly, they start to believe that all the rubbish they've heard, it's not true, you know, and they start agreeing with you, yeah. But they don't read. But once they see you and they're standing face to face with you and you're talking to them sensibly about what you believe in, they say, well, I believe in that. You know, this is what I want to say. Well, yeah, well, I want to say that. And then you start winning them round. And it's going out, knocking on doors and interacting with people and showing them that you're not a nut job. You're not alone. You're just an ordinary working kid trying to make your area, your ward, you know, a lot better for you and for the people that live there. Yeah, so he's speaking, but yeah, they're very important to the party. YIs are important to the party. I don't know that what we're looking at, when they put the YI membership fee up, that's being reviewed at the moment, so we're going to, you know, get that back again. Well, it is, because if you look at our membership and you look at what we've got, one of the best canvassers that we've got in Hull, and is a good friend of mine, is Sergi Singh. I mean, a lot of you may have seen him at conferences, because he had a turban specially done in UKIP colours, and he's a true kipper. So we've got many people from all backgrounds, from all races, from all religions, that see the party as a common sense party. So it just doesn't wash, it doesn't hold water, this far right, you know. Again, immigration is a big thing that's thrown at us time and time again. We need to get immigration down. It's got to come down to tens of thousands. Theresa the Appease has tried that. I think it's just short of 100,000 at the moment. But that's got to come down. And once, I mean, she's done this on this transitional deal. The borders are still going to be open throughout the transitional deal, so they're still going to be coming in. We've got to close our borders, and we've got to get back to the same saying as I said earlier on. It's all about space, not race. It's all about our services, the hospitals, everything, housing, train. It just cannot cope with the amount of numbers that are coming in. So shut those borders, make sure that the people that do come in, because no country can survive without some kind of immigration. So we want immigration, but what we want is the people that we need, the people with the skills that we need, and those people will be very, very welcome to come to this country and will be well looked after and welcomed. And, you know, that's the party that we are. We welcome immigration, but it's got to be a controlled immigration.
Mike, thank you so much for